Hi, and welcome to another episode of Studio 411. I'm your host, Larry Dasilva, and we are blessed today to have a gentleman who many of you here, at least in the Connecticut area, will certainly know. Our guest today, Dan Hincks, businessman, CEO, is leading quite the life, I think you'll see as we go through the hour today. He is president of Data Management Incorporated, and more importantly, at least to those of you out there, will say, wow, I know that guy from somewhere. Well, you can see from the hat once we go to him, he is the CEO and owner of the Infinity Music Hall and Bistro. We'll call it a chain, I guess, two outfits, one in Norfolk and the more recent one as of 2014 in the city of Hartford. So welcome to the Studio 411, Dan Hincks. Dan, thanks for coming by.
Great to be here, Larry.
So as I said before, and it was only reinforced by an article I saw recently in the Hartford Current, I mean, you are living the dream, my friend. You are, I definitely got the vibe that you are a music lover and you just love what has transpired with the Infinity Hall line over the last almost 10 years.
It's been almost 10 years.
Yeah.
October 17th, we'll celebrate our 9th full year in Norfolk.
Yeah,
so
there you go.
We're knocking on the door of 10 years.
Absolutely.
And I do love it. It's, I love music, and to the degree other people love the place, that makes me feel great, and that's what I'm trying to do, is provide enjoyment to the general public.
I said to Dan off camera before we went out, I said, oh, we've actually met. Not that I expected him to remember me, but I was backstage or in kind of like that signing area that you have at Norfolk Infinity. Some people that, a couple that I would call friends anyway, part of the band Jefferson Starship.
Sure.
We were there, and I had an opportunity to speak to you the night of your 1,000th performance. That was the night that Paul Kantner, the late Paul Kantner, one of the founders of Jefferson Airplane, later Jefferson Starship, was there celebrating, I want to say, I think it was his 72nd birthday. I think it was 2013.
I think that's right.
And you know, I had gone up to you, again, I wasn't even doing anything like this show at that point, but again, I went up to you, and the foundation had been broken already on the new venue in Hartford, and we got into a discussion, just my 2 cents for what they were worth, about what I thought was the importance or the opportunity of taking a band like a Jefferson Starship and saying, well, if you have them come into town, play, let's say, a Friday night in Norfolk, a Saturday or a Sunday in Hartford, or vice versa, and you seem to kind of, you know, say, well, that's kind of where we're going to try to go with this, you know, maximize the efforts of these wonderful talents that come through the doors.
Yeah, well, it's interesting how we were thinking of it, and then when you actually have the two locations and you start booking the shows back to back, and some of them work that way very well, others not so much. So a lot of times what we'll do, we found that it's oftentimes better to have a period of time separate between the time they play in Norfolk and the time they play in Hartford. That might be 6, 8 months, 9 months. So we alternate them back and forth. But some of the strongest bands will play actually back-to-back nights, and they don't have any problem. For example, Tab Benoit is a very popular artist, and he's coming up quite recently in the near future, playing back-to-back. Hartford and
then some you probably would kill for, like I know in, I think it was late 2016, you had Graham Nash again, which escaped me somehow. I don't know how I didn't see
Well, he
that.
is coming back to Norfolk.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, June 11th, actually.
Gotcha.
I think it's sold out, but we are very, very excited to have Graham Nash
absolutely
play our 300-seater in Norfolk.
Nice, nice. Yeah. All right, let's go back in time here. Tell me about, I assume from what I read on the bio, Connecticut native?
Yes, I grew up in Farmington.
So born in Hartford? Or
I moved here as just a small kid, and I think I was just 1 or 2 years old, and been in the state pretty much ever since. I grew up in Farmington, went to the University of Hartford, was in business with my dad for many years, and have stayed around here.
And now, when you were growing up, what did you want to do? What, like from your earliest years, what did you say? Like me, I wanted to be a camera operator. Well, I guess I'm not there, but anyway, I'm about as close as I'm going to get at this point. But I've done some of that. But again, it's just what things did you want to when you were like a toddler?
Oh, when I was a kid, I wanted to play baseball.
Really?
I was very into baseball. I loved baseball. I was decent at it. But then I think adolescence kind of got in the way of that dream.
I was thinking, because when I saw that you had grown up in this area, I did not get a chance to have him on the program. And it's one of those where, there's so many great stories, as we talked off air, about people. But a gentleman who just passed about a year and a half ago, Dick McAuliffe, literally lives across the street here from our studios. Yeah. And, it just was not meant to be.
Dick McAuliffe was definitely the best baseball player to come out of this area. And,
legend.
Incredible Detroit Tiger.
Yeah, all-star second baseman with the Tigers, played a brief cup of coffee at the end of his career with the Red Sox, even managed in Bristol, if I have my facts straight, when Bristol had a team. But yeah, so all-star second baseman, and just, again, sometimes I say, I'm going to beat myself up over all these missed opportunities, but sometimes there just aren't enough shows. Just aren't enough shows. Tell me now, where did you go to school, college?
I went to University of Hartford.
Okay.
And then I was in business for quite a while and ended up taking over a business my dad had founded, data management in Farmington. And after running that for 7 or 8 years, I ended up taking a kind of an MBA equivalent course, continuing program at Harvard. And did that for 3 years, just portions of the year, just for a month at a time.
One thing, and I'm paraphrasing here because it reminds me of a place that I've spent some time up in the Poconos. It's a resort, but anyway, their philosophy, and it comes from like the Cornell School of Management and things like that, which reminds me a little, I think, maybe of what maybe you might have learned, or probably from your dad, more importantly. But basically, when people come into your home, in this case, whether Infinity or this resort I'm speaking about, they're treated like their family. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
And there's, we only go around once in this world, and as far as I'm concerned, everybody's everybody out there is kind of a brother or sister.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Now, to stay on the data management for a second, again, just to give that a little bit of a shout out, tell me a little bit about visitor pass solutions and basically a lot of badge technology. I mean, give us a little feedback.
It's a tremendous company. Yeah. We've been going 56 years now, and we've reinvented it several times. But our primary product now is a product line called Visitor Pass Solutions, where we are in the security industry, and we print specialized visitor badges, customized badges for all kinds of schools, corporations, hospitals, government facilities, as well as the software, visitor management software.
Right.
So people know who's coming in and out, and it's kind of a first layer of security to make sure that people are protected
in this day and
in their
age,
facilities.
More so than ever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So we feel like we fulfill a very important role in today's society in that regard.
And now we talked a little bit about this off air as well. Now your dad unfortunately didn't get to see the seeds of Infinity, the whole process, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. But you took over when he retired or eventually passed from data management.
He died in 1999. I had taken it over in 1990.
Gotcha. Okay.
And we had a long, excellent run together.
Yeah.
And
now when that happened in '90. It coincided shortly after with you taking that Harvard course. Was that something where you felt, wow, I really need like that extra? I mean, what did that, just for those who were aspiring to further their education, what was the need, or what did you get out of doing that?
Well, it really was an effort to, pursue continuing education on my part at as high a level as I could do. And the Harvard OPM program, which I did, they do really same as the MBA program where they use case study method. So you get to study all kinds of unusual and common predicaments that companies find themselves in, and problems and opportunities, and you create solutions and then discuss them with everybody, and oftentimes meet the people that are actually involved in the case studies as well.
Absolutely.
So it's fascinating.
There you go. Dan Hincks, founder, CEO of Infinity Music Halls and Bistros, Norfolk and Hartford, as well as CEO of Data Management Incorporated, joining us here for the hour on Studio 411. Now we go back to, again, was it a midlife crisis? What happened? I mean, I'm just going by kind of the chronology of where you were in your life. I guess it takes someone, again, to look at a piece of land or a building and really kind of say, you know what, I can envision something here. Talk us through, one thing before we get to that.
Yeah.
Here's a shot of you. This is like circa 2008.
Yeah, that
when
is.
you were having your opening.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah,
I don't know if I'd seen that.
Duke Robillard, of course,
Yes.
now a Rhode Island Rock and Roll Hall of Famer, a founding member of a Room Full of Blues, already out with his own band at that time. I have to ask, Kenny Rankin passed less than a year after this appearance.
He did. We actually had him booked to come back the second time in the fall. He was going to come back in September, October. I think he died in the July time
Yes,
frame.
exactly. A singer-songwriter, again, for many, many years. Beautiful song. I want to say has a song, if people don't know it.
Thinking about maybe Haven't We Met?
No, this is a Christmas song called Christmas Eve with You. And and I love it. I have it on a compilation disc. And and then it dawned on me one day. I said, wait a minute, this is the guy that's, was the first one. How did that come about? Was it that we're operating on an initial shoestring and we said instead of going maybe perhaps a bigger name? How did that come about?
Not at all. Actually, he was the third artist that we had scheduled. We had Richie Havens was going to be our opening act.
Wow.
And then who I've always admired and loved. And I don't remember who the second one was. And then Kenny Rankin was going to be the third one, but we weren't ready.
Gotcha.
We had to defer those first two, and we rescheduled, I know, Richie Havens for just before Christmas. We had a huge snowstorm, but it was just sheer coincidence that Kenny Rankin, who my wife and I had actually seen together when we were at the University of Hartford way back when, ended up being our first performer. So we had a great admiration for him.
And as I said, Duke Robillard, again, I've seen him at a couple of charity benefits. So again, that's a guy from Room Full of Blues, and then got inducted into the Rock and Roll Rhode Island Rock and Roll Hall of Fame a couple of years ago. So good way to start off. And now again, with no disrespect to these gentlemen, but now my next question is twofold. Who haven't you had that you would give a tooth for? And secondly, who did you come this close to get and then for some unforeseen reason missed an opportunity or perhaps they passed?
Well, we're working very hard at getting artists all the time. So, and we don't set our, really nobody is too big because a lot of folks, a lot of very, major artists love playing in our acoustically pristine small room. When money isn't a question and they just want to play in a really, really great space, then they'll come and play Infinity. We're delighted to have Graham Nash coming, and I think it's June 11th. Very, very excited about that. But in answer to your question,
anybody that perhaps you were,
I'd love to get Paul McCartney, of course.
Booked, but then for some reason that passed away. I mean, I know that's happened to me with people that I wanted to see. Like, for instance, I missed, didn't go to see Bo Diddley one time, didn't go to see Chuck Berry twice on New Year's Eves. And next thing you know, well, guess what? Not going to get that chance.
Yes, well, I did have B.B. King booked at the Warner Theater. And we were one of his last 5 shows that he had to cancel. Wow. And we had it completely sold out.
That's right, I remember, that up in Waterbury,
in Torrington.
Oh, in Torrington, gotcha.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
And so unfortunately, that never came to pass.
No, and that's an interesting association. You started that a couple of years ago. I want to say, was that with Charlie Daniels? Was that the first one?
We did Charlie Daniels. We had Tedeschi Trucks. We had John Legend, which was really amazing because he had a huge hit out at the time.
Oh, absolutely,
and it was that was fun.
Yeah. Dan Hincks joining us for the hour here on Studio 411, CEO and founder of the Infinity Music Halls and Bistro, Norfolk and Hartford. I threw this in because our friend from 8 to the Bar, Cynthia Lyon, was on the program a couple of years ago, and there she was. She was here actually just before they did their big 40th anniversary performance, which they did at your venue in Norfolk.
I remember that well. Yeah. They are a Connecticut institution.
Oh, absolutely.
And just phenomenal. Really great band.
Let's talk about spend a little time on the structure in Norfolk. But first of all, to go back to what I was leading in before we got on the Kenny Rankin thing, you know the area, you grew up in the area. So did you just drive by and say, well, oh man, this building really fascinates me? What led to this whole thing of acquiring that building?
That's not how it happened.
Okay.
Actually, I had already come up with the idea of starting Infinity, and thought that there was a need for a really high quality, intimate sized venue. I mean, it wasn't going to be a bar and it wasn't going to be a large place. It was going to be a small, really high quality listening room that I just thought people with music appreciators would appreciate and enjoy. So that was the kind of basic concept. And when I thought of it initially, I said, boy, that really rings true. I think that a lot of people would like that. So I was thinking of Hartford initially, but I decided to go ahead and do it. So I started touring the country, visiting various venues that were kind of like that, learning about it, visiting with the owners and the managers.
Anyone that stands out? I mean, was like up in New Hampshire or Vermont, anything?
Oh, yeah. Actually, I probably visited 20 of them.
Yeah.
So it was...
There's some great ones in PA, too, you know. Just,
There was Sellersville.
Peak is one that I know I go to often. It's beautiful.
Absolutely.
Just a marvelous view, you know, which man-made naturally, but no. And then, of course, now in 2000, don't tell me it's a trick question, 2014, fall, just late summer, early fall, and you opened up here.
Yes.
And remind me, who was the first act here?
Well, we opened up August 28th, 2014. Toad the Wet Sprocket was our
and you had something that went on earlier that Chubby Checker or somebody was at. Wasn't it kind of like a welcome, like to show people the structure? And I think there was like a...
Well, what we did construction updates, concerts. Actually in the construction site. And we did that. We did 3 of those. We had West End Blend and Wise Old Moon, and then I think we had the University of Hartford U Harmonies, which is a female a cappella.
And now this building, what was this prior? Was this built from the ground up, or was this another
This was a
prior?
shell that is part of the whole Adrian's Landing complex that they built on Front Street in Hartford, right across the street from the convention center. So they tore down some time ago the buildings that were there. It was vacant for quite a while, and then they built a shell, and it was we ended up going inside the shell and constructing the new Infinity Hall Hartford.
Nice. Now this one here seats around like the 400 seat capacity?
It's about 500.
500.
Yeah,
okay.
It's Norfolk is 300, Hartford is 500, but we can take the seats out on the orchestra level in Hartford, and when we do that, it's up closer to 800.
Now, when the one in Hartford was being put together, did you kind of want to create a similar feel, or say, you know, we can't recreate it because obviously you're looking for bigger space from a business standpoint, larger venues, and again, as I've learned from reading this, is that you also do, you know, you can do banquets, you can do business meetings, you can do many things when on off days or off nights.
Yeah, it's a multifaceted facility. Of course, our main thing is music. which we're completely into. It's a very kind of versatile setup, so we can take the seats in and out. We use the venue for all kinds of special events, and we do a lot of that. We're from private parties for individuals, weddings, bar mitzvahs. We also do a lot of corporate gatherings of all kinds.
Has there ever been a time where you had a musical act scheduled for the evening, and then something was being held in the afternoon where there was a little bit of a hiccup in transition, or is it pretty seamless? So there's never been a like, hey, we're running low. Let's get the I-dos out of the way, because we got an act coming up in like 3 hours.
Yeah, well, we do occasionally kind of stretch the events, start in the morning, go into the afternoon, and then the bands come in and they need time to set it up. But the bands usually think they need more time than they actually need. And if you talk to our production manager in Hartford, he'll tell you that he can get bands set up and sound checked very efficiently.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
So it's
and on the other hand, sometimes the bands, again, not intentionally, but sometimes they're running late, or to be honest with you, I've seen it where if they're more regionally located in terms of residents, they sometimes take a little more time to get there, and then they're like the patrons, not at your place, but in other places I've been, are practically banging on the door, like, when are we getting in? And you hear the music, and it's like, we're doing a sound check now? I mean, it's like,
Yeah, well, actually, more often than not, the bands get there early. It gives them an opportunity. We have just such great sound. They can get in there and they can not just do a sound check, but practice. And they love, and of course we take great care of the bands. We're well known for that. And it's a very high priority for us.
A few that I've, know at least some of the members in a couple of bands. Nothing but positive things about, again, like you said, they're treated. They feel like, man, that's like family over here.
Yeah, we treat the artists like gold, and the special people they are.
Oh, absolutely.
So they love being there, and it's not easy being on the road.
Yeah.
So we try to make them feel as absolutely comfortable, and they don't forget the good food either.
Yes, I understand. Very, very good. And as I was saying before, we had an opportunity when my wife and I were there for the 1000, which we didn't know. We were just there to see, our friends there, and and actually I was there getting a few things signed for charity events that we were involved with. And all of a sudden, it comes a cake, and it's like, wow. I mean, it was like, and then I saw a photo, which I didn't get it in time, of you and Paul Kantner kind of toasting each other, and I thought, hey, that's a classic. That really is. I'd never seen that before.
What an incredible guy.
Oh, yeah.
And we were very, very honored to have him, and have him celebrating his birthday with us.
Sure. And thank goodness the band with David Freiberg and Kathy Richardson, who's a friend of both my wife and I, the band continues on, and in some ways they're sounding even better than ever, because they really re-energized, especially since Paul's passing, which he had a few health problems, but very nice man. A few times I got to talk to him. Both of us had nothing but good things to say about him. So, but
that's
good,
great,
good
and
stuff.
It's great that the band is doing so well.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Now we'll talk a little bit in a short time about the Infinity Hall Live, the television show that is spawned from these great concerts. Speaking of somebody that, again, I've had the opportunity to see, Jerry Beckley, along with his partner Dewey Bunnell, and America. Again, good stuff. And I see, in the new Hartford facility. And again, the beauty thing about you guys is that where both locations are, there's kind of an unwritten rule in the music entertainment industry. Usually, you want to have someone and then not have them play down the street the next night, or vice versa, because then one or the other venue owner is like, wait a minute, you're stealing thunder away from us.
Right.
But where you guys are located, whether they're playing at a casino, whether they're playing in New York City, it's more than the unwritten rule 50 miles. And so really it's great.
Yeah, it works out very well.
Yeah,
it really does.
And even the
and also, we're very into playing nice with the other venues in the area. We're very cooperative, and we're all in this together.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's plenty of music lovers to.
Absolutely.
support all the venues.
I lost my train of thought, but we'll move on anyway. Infinity Music Hall, Norfolk, and of course Hartford. I mean, countless. I need a whole half hour just to read this. Best music hall, best place for dinner and a show. Best concert venue. I mean, on and on and on. I mean, again, infinityhall.com for more information. Dan Hincks joining us for the hour here on Studio 411, CEO and founder. Quote from Dan, quote, "I love the way music brings people together." He probably doesn't remember saying that, but I have it right here. So do you remember saying that?
I do. I've said it more than once, so I don't know when that was, but it's kind of one of the big motivations behind me doing this.
Here's a shot that I had never seen because, again, I'm used to seeing it from the front. I mean, what a marvelous structure here. And if you don't mind, tell the story about, again, you bought this.
Yeah.
Comparatively speaking with what it cost to build Hartford, this was a song. And believe me, I don't have that song, but Dan certainly did.
Well, it was inexpensive to purchase. It was not inexpensive to renovate.
Oh, exactly, yeah.
So, but no, it was exciting for us because I had the concept for the business and had, was well along in our objective to do it, and was looking for a home. And just a week before this building in Norfolk, the original Village Hall, which had become Greenwood's Theater in 1999, was being auctioned off in a foreclosure auction.
Right.
And I found out just a week in advance, and I wasn't able to go inside and look at it.
Oh, wow.
At all. So I researched it.
Not even on spec, on basically a wing and a prayer. Wow.
Pretty much. I mean, I went to the library and to the Historical Society and learned as much as I could, and then showed up at the auction and was able to buy it for.
And now, when you finally did get in, I mean, were you like gulp?
It was. Fortunately, the person that had bought it previous to me had actually saved the building, because at the turn of the century, when 1999, when she bought it, it was ready to fall down, and she put a lot of effort into it and saved the building. And when I did it, I really went through it, renovated the whole thing, and hopefully we'll make that building last another 100 years or so.
Some facts on the building. 3 resourceful ladies, again, amazing. 1883, known as Village Hall at first. No, not that guy, but the picture that was there before. The building considered to be the first multi-purpose community center in the country back in those days. Public and private funds, again, when the building was put together, which again is just remarkable what they could do in those days. Served as a hub for communication, entertainment, including town meetings, vaudeville performances, which I knew that. And then, as you said before, during the last half of the 20th century, fell into disrepair. I mean, I know I had read that the folks that owned it before you had tried to make some improvements, but
yes, they had.
It seemed like, comparatively speaking, it was quite a Herculean task at that point.
I think that they did a good job, considering they actually saved the building. If it hadn't been for them, I don't think it would have survived. But so it took, I think, 2 owners to bring it back to.
And also, just to finish that thought, again, it housed the town butcher at one point, a post office, the town hall itself, grocery market. I mean, amazing. The first time I went there, actually, you didn't even have the bistro open yet.
That's right. We opened initially October 17th, 2008, and the bistro didn't open until the following May 1st. So we were giving, I think we had some wraps and stuff to provide to people that showed up hungry.
Oh, yeah. But there was drinks, so that's good enough. We have a shot here of Dan with Daniel Malloy, governor of Connecticut. This was a couple of years ago when you had the opening, I believe, at the one in Hartford.
Yes, I think that's the.
And other dignitaries there floating in and out. One thing I wanted to talk about. There was something I saw in an article that was written on you. Curious your thoughts, the impact on financial issues in Hartford that seem to go ongoing, and of course the ongoing throughout the country, but certainly in the state of Connecticut, the financial issues. How does that, if at all, impact venues like Infinity Hall, like a Mark Twain House? I mean, some receive grants or assistance from the state or the city, or is that not the case with
Well, it's not really the case with us on an ongoing basis. We received some assistance in the form of a low-interest loan from the state to help build Infinity originally, and that was the only way that we could have done it. But on an ongoing basis, we're independent. I mean, we have we're importantly need and appreciative of our sponsors, but and they help us exist. But it's we look to all areas of the community to help keep the place vibrant and as strong as possible.
Yeah. A shot, because again, I have, as I stated before, have not been to the one in Hartford yet, but I believe this is Ricky Skaggs here doing some selling of merchandise, meeting with the public after, I'm sure, a fine performance. Outstanding country, more bluegrass artist, Ricky Skaggs and his fine band over at the Hartford Infinity. Do you think that, or maybe entertainment sometimes is immune from it, that the problems, now that the recession, they say, is over, but still there are so many fiscal problems, both on a state, local, and town level. Do you think that that hinders venues like Infinity, or do you think that the public will, kind of go to see these acts regardless of where they are, despite the gloom and doom around us sometimes?
Well, I think the strength of the economy is a very important factor, and everybody's got financial realities to balance, and they can only spend so much on entertainment. So it's an important factor, how strong the economy is and how well things are going. But when we opened in Norfolk, though, it was literally 1 month after the 2008 crash on Wall Street, and that threw right into the recession. And I booked the venue right into that whole winter, and of course, not realizing that it would be a crash.
No, but I'm sure that was a concern, thinking, wow, this is, all of a sudden, again, not to talk, too much finance, but saying all these dollars and construction costs and all the stuff that goes along with it. And you're like, wow, many of businesses that in other times, retailers, whatever, that overextended themselves sometimes found themselves in harsh realities.
And it's a challenge, because you want to do a really great job. You want to provide as high a quality product as you possibly can, and you have to, one way or another, pay for that.
Here's what we were talking about before. Again, I'm assuming some of these are in Hartford, but again, talk us through this. You've got a conference facility. You've got perhaps a small speaking group engagement. You've got perhaps more of an intimate setting here for some sort of party, whatever. I mean, it's totally. You've made it, which is, I think, the key to your success, is that you've made it multi-purpose or purposeful for folks to use it in so many different ways.
Yes, you can't sit back and think it's all going to come rolling in. It's not. You have to really provide valuable service.
And some have, though, and not just in But again, this is stuff I'm sure you learned valuable lessons both from your dad's business, and I'm sure when you took your additional education through Harvard, I'm sure that you probably heard stories that would make your hair stand, and not necessarily in the entertainment venue, but I can remember in, what was it, Rocky Hill, the biggest taxpayer in Rocky Hill used to be a company called Ames. Twice they got over leveraged in the late 80s when a recession hit. They bought Zayers and nearly found themselves on the verge of bankruptcy because then the recession hit and they were having trouble paying their loans. And then they did it 20 years later, and then it happened again. And then that time, guess what? Taxpayer in Rocky Hill was no more.
They didn't make it.
No. Talk a little bit about reception you've gotten from the folks in Norfolk. I mean, that's got to be, you got to be right up there with helping keep the lights on in that town.
Well, this is a picture actually of Hartford, but Norfolk, I absolutely love the town of Norfolk. They are, I mean, it's an incredible community of people, fantastic people. It's a beautiful town, and it's just a great sense of community there. And we've gotten a ton of support from the people in town ever since I first made the decision to open the Infinity Hall in Norfolk. They were excited about it. They supported me at every turn, and they are at Infinity Hall all the time.
Oh yeah, and people don't realize. I'm sure this is something too that convinced you. I mean, I'm not going to say who it is, but there's a small, much smaller venue that I heard about, and I said, "Oh, really? They have bands there?" And I said, "Oh, I'll have to check it out." And I said, "Where is it?" "Well, it's off of this road, but off of that, and then take the fork in the road." I'm like, "Wait a minute!" I said, "You know, you're talking the old adage: location, location, location. Yours." Other than that little turn at the end before you hit your building, I mean, you're on Route 44.
Yeah,
and here you're part of, as you said, you're part of the
Front Street,
the Front Street
District.
Adrian Landing project.
Right.
So and you're right off the highway on here too.
Yeah, the Hartford location is incredibly convenient. You get off exit, I think it's 29A. You scoot right into the garage, basically, and then you don't even have to walk outside. You can, from the garage, you just walk right into the venue.
Yeah. Oh, really?
You're right there.
So that's great. So see, that gives people a little bit more kind of maybe comfort level. Whereas, you know, up in Norfolk, you know, you might have a raccoon go by as you're going, or a squirrel. Trust me. You know, the thing I love about Norfolk is we've been there, and I live in the Farmington Valley as well. And all of a sudden, you can start. And you're like, whoa, it's starting to drizzle a little bit. And then as you go further and further up, now it becomes like tantamount to a snowstorm because your elevation is just getting higher and higher and higher. And that's why that area is always prone to a lot of heavy snow. But you know, but you guys, I know you had a couple of years ago was Ian Hunter from Mata Hoople. I remember it was a Wednesday night, and I said, oh man, that'd be cool to see. And I knew I couldn't get to it. And then of course, we got hit with some crazy weather, and next thing you know, of course, I don't even think the artists could get to the venue.
Yeah. Well, we've had a few shows postponed.
Oh yeah,
but not many. No, it's surprisingly rare.
Oh yeah, but it's more apt to happen there because in Hartford, you know, obviously the roads are a little bit more clear. But yeah, we'd be like, okay, let's on the way home. Oh, I can see now that it's starting to turn back to rain as we're starting to head home from Norfolk. But always a good.
It's kind of interesting though. Initially, a lot of people were saying, boy, you're really crazy to build that place in Norfolk. It's really far out there. But when people actually start coming out, you know, and they realize, oh, it's really a beautiful drive, and it's 10 minutes west of Winstead, right on Route 44. It's really so much easier than people may
But you know what it is too, what people didn't get, and even I didn't until I really sat and looked at, you know, a map, is that you're drawing people, like, again, we'll go back to the example, we'll use Jefferson Starship or Graham Nash. Let's say that he's playing one night at your place here and then another night there. You're drawing people from Lower Mass, you're drawing people from New York, the border, whatever county that is. So, you know, and I can tell you as a music fan, if there's somebody that I like or that we like, my wife and I, we're liable to buy tickets no matter where they are. So we're going to go to both shows. Now, for the more casual fan, the one here may not want to go to Hartford, but the one in Hartford may not want to go there. And then Hartford is drawing from more lower central Connecticut, eastern Connecticut, Springfield area. So I mean, to me, it's a win-win. You know,
it works well. This is Ron Carter and Pat Metheny.
And this gentleman, I got an education. I'm sitting or standing actually in the lobby in Norfolk. And my wife didn't know who he was, but I said, hey, jazz guy, you know, phenomenal. And I'm looking at like the billboard that was there in the lobby. And I was like 20-time, or it's probably more now, 20-plus Grammy winner.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's like not unknown, but you know what I'm saying, to more mainstream people. They don't realize this guy's right up there with like a Stevie Wonder or other people in terms of accolades. I mean, and then Ron Carter, of course, you know, anyone jazz. He's
unknown, really kind of a lesser known icon.
Oh, absolutely,
you know.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Dan Hincks joining us for the hour here on Studio 411, infinityhall.com. Dan, of course, CEO and founder of the Infinity Music Hall and Bistro line. I guess we can't call it a chain. What constitutes a chain? Is that like more than three
Maybe
links?
I would say 3+.
3+. So keep that in mind, folks. Any aspirations to no? Okay.
Not at this time. No.
But if you
we're
could,
very happy with.
Okay,
with
very
two.
good, very good. Oh my goodness. Let's see now. Who in business has influenced you outside of your what you would consider your field? I mean, is there someone? That doesn't have to be someone famous, but someone who you look at and said, "Boy, this person was a mentor to me." Besides your dad.
Well, Richard Bronson I've always looked up to and respected because he was both a business person, a great people person, and an adventurer, and lived his life really the way he wanted to live his life. So I admired that.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be just like him, but I admired the way he took initiative to be the way he wanted to be. And
let's talk about a couple of things here before time slips away. The Infinity Music Live series, again, that is broadcast Connecticut Public Television and syndicated nationwide now.
Yes.
Tell me, how did that come about?
Well, it was kind of fun. Jerry Franklin's the CEO of Connecticut Public Television. He had gone with a friend of his to Infinity in Norfolk to see Judy Collins on a Sunday night. And we, myself and the team, my management team, we had thought about the idea of having a television show and how great it would be. And that next day, Jerry came back and told his chief operating officer, Dean Orton, to give me a call and try to make something happen. So he called me up, and we already had ideas as to what a great format for a series would be, where we would do not just the music, but interview the artists and get to know the artists, and have that component in addition to the music.
Right. So overall, it's a 1 hour?
It's a 1 hour show.
1 hour. So basically, just so we clarify for all concerned, again, you're going to get snippets of a performance, but then of course you're going to learn more about the performer and you know, get to kind of really see. I'm sure it's been a tremendous boon in terms of people all over the country saying, "Wow, where is this place?" You know, next time I'm in Connecticut.
It's been great for the recognition of Infinity Hall nationwide. It's published. It's broadcast by American Public Television over public television, and over 90% of all PBS stations carry the program. So it's in over.
Before we lose the shot there, of course, the aforementioned Mr. Graham Nash next to Dan on the far right.
Yes, my wife and my brother and my nephew and my brother's
Oh, really? We have
girlfriend.
a whole family shot there. Okay, let's airbrush Graham out of that shot. Now, what's this Infinity Music Radio? Is that something?
No, it's not something we're pursuing. We tried that at one point, where it was going to be an internet radio station. It just didn't pan out, so we kind of stopped that.
Okay, all right. It's unfortunate. It would have been good in terms. No, seriously, to have a collection. Now, let me ask you this. Obviously, in the case of Norfolk, it's been 8+ years. At what point did it dawn on somebody? We'll get a camera because we're going to want to like someday have clips of a Kenny Rankin or a B.B. King had he made it, or anybody, even if they're still around today, or get that audio running because we might come up with an idea to create our own radio station. Or when did these things kind of enter people's minds? I'm sure not at the very beginning.
No, but as we go along, we're thinking about various ways that we can, because when you have as much amazing talent coming in as we do, it's a big opportunity to take advantage of it in various ways.
Infinity Music Hall, hashtag love live music. Okay, yeah. I got it right.
Yeah,
almost. I've been practicing that for 3 days, but it took a little while to get it.
You can read it either way.
There you go. Yeah. The Hartford facility. Let's jump here. They're coming fast and furious. I know that's Big Al Anderson,
Yes.
the Wild Weeds, correct?
Yes, Jim Chaplain.
Yeah.
Who's he does all the sound mixing for our TV series Infinity Hall Live for Connecticut Public Television, and he won an Emmy for the sound for our series.
Nice.
And,
Very nice.
One of his, I think he has 14 Emmys.
Now,
But Big Al is amazing.
What goes into picking the acts? I ask that only because I've seen some where, again, my motto is we never stop learning, but there are times where I'm like, wait a minute. How come I don't see Graham Nash? I'm seeing Jane Doe, and I never heard of her. But I'm just saying, what goes into the? Is it become an issue where a better name act or group says no, we're not interested, or we're trying to expose newcomers to the scene? What's the thought process?
Well, I think it's a mix between wanting to have established artists that add prestige and good recognition to the program, and also wanting to have serious up-and-coming talent on the program, and so we just try to mix it up. It's not so much a matter of people saying no. A lot of it has to do with schedules, and it also.
But I mean, there's sometimes, with anything, there's always legal issues.
That's right. Sometimes the record companies get involved, and they want their artists to be on it, but sometimes they want that, and we don't think that artist is perfect for the program at that time. So we do.
It's funny because
it's a wide variety.
In the old days, like when you and I were growing up, I mean, people would kill to be on any, a musician or an artist would kill to be on a show. It's kind of like, and there were so few. Here's an example before I continue the thought. Infinity Hall Live, the Tedeschi Trucks Band. There was Susan Tedeschi.
Yes.
That's not Butch Trucks. That's his son, correct?
Exactly. Yeah.
Jaimo? No.
Derek Trucks.
Derek Trucks. Thank you very much. See, father, it just goes from one generation to the other. The Trucks family. I'm telling you, amazing. Of course, Butch was or still is a member of the Allman Brothers Band from back in the day. So I am a wealth of old-time music information, let me tell you. But no, this is good. This is good that is going well. And any people that you're working on, I mean, it'll be old news by the time this comes, but I'm just curious, people that you're excited about having on the program?
Well, I think we I just learned today that we booked Gavin DeGraw coming in. Yeah. So that's a nice show. Josh Ritter we've got coming in. We've mentioned Pat Metheny is coming to Norfolk, and we have Anna Papovic. She's a rocker.
Yeah.
We have Gaelic Storm, the Outlaws, Josh Ritter, and just a whole host of artists. And a lot of people spend quite a bit of time on our website just kind of learning, watching the videos of all the artists, because we have upwards of 80 to 100 shows for sale at any given point in time. And you can go in there and just listen to various.
So if they're like not sure, they think they know who it is, but then they get, I know that person, or I know that.
Yeah.
This young lady here, and I threw this image here at the last minute. I believe this lady with her hands up, if we can get a shot of that, is she not Elizabeth McGovern?
She is, yes.
From you know her better as an actress from many movies, and I didn't watch the show, but Downton Abbey, I guess she was one of the few American actresses on that show. But she came in, actually, I recall, with a band, and I'm blanking on their name. But see, Dan's like, I'm seeing stars. Anyway, she's
it was one of our Connecticut Public Television performances. It went perfectly with Downton Abbey.
Yeah, there you go.
Kind of one of the more unusual bands we've
CPTV
had.
can say, look, before we show you this latest episode of Downton Abbey, we're going to show you her in another vein. Yeah. Hey, cross promotion is how I look at it. No, but again, that I'm sure. Did you find that an event like that drew a lot of Downton Abbey fans, or there really?
It totally did.
Yeah.
It totally did. It was Downton Abbey was huge.
Yeah.
And Elizabeth McGovern, one of the lead actors in that series.
All you needed was Maggie Smith seated in the front row. It would have been like Bedlam.
I think it was the TV that brought people in, not the music necessarily. She wasn't famous for the music. Artists like the Bacon Brothers, though, are so phenomenal musically that a lot of people just come to see them for that.
Here's one that I did see a few clips of. Again, the fabulous on again, off again Wilson Phillips. The two Wilson sisters on either end, and of course John, and I think it's John and Michelle Phillips's daughter China.
That's right.
Again,
That's exactly right. They were just incredible. Really,
and around that time, I recall they were even doing like a reality show. So they were like going on tour buses, and then they would film them. And I don't know if they actually were headed your way, but again, that's big time entertainment. It really is.
Yeah, it's a real pleasure to get big time serious artists in the small venue, because it's.
Now give me an idea. What's a normal day for Dan Hincks like? I know you're a crack of dawn.
I am. Yeah. I like to get up early.
Yeah.
I love the morning, and I like to do a lot of reading, get in some exercise, and
doing the whole thing between the data management and the two infinities. Does it ever get like overwhelming, or it sounds like you really have a good core of people working for you, or working with you, I should say.
We have a great team at data management, phenomenal team, and then at Infinity. Couldn't possibly even start to do what we do without the amazing team we've got. Yeah.
When you were growing up, and because you grew up in this area, whereas I grew up in Fairfield County, so you had exposure more to places like, perhaps the old Shaboo and some of the other ones. Me was Toads, and there was another place I'm blanking in Danbury that I actually got to go in once before that place was shut down. Got to see Leon Russell at a place, and who was actually at your place in 2016 before his passing.
Yes, he was.
Great artist. But do you find that, in other words, what does it take to be successful in this type of venture versus, let's say, 20, 25 years ago? I mean, you talk to people like even Mr. Foster there, who was the co-founder of the Shaboo.
Yes.
Is it still the same, or is it helped by social media? Or?
I think it's completely different.
Yeah.
I think that one thing that the whole internet age has done with music is it's created a whole new, I would say, kind of a middle class of artists that are able to actually make at least a semblance of a living by touring, and people can access their music online, and they can sell music online. Where it used to be, you were either at a record deal or you were extremely local and working bars. That really didn't. You couldn't really make a living that way.
Right, and they were not providing accommodations unless it was perhaps
so
a
it was
storeroom.
kind of like way up here or nothing, and there were very few of those. So I think that the internet age has been exceptional for artists in general, and I think the whole, there's so many amazing musicians out there, and the internet allows a lot of people to access them.
In some ways, it makes running one or two venues like this gives you a better selection, or just overall makes it a little easier to bring in top talent?
Well, I think a lot more artists, I think, are on the road making a living by touring than used to be the case, say, back in the 70s and 80s.
Well, that's where their money really is. It's not in record or CD or downloads, because of the, from my perspective, again, having been in radio years ago, it's just now, I think there's still stuff, if they really push push their product, via their own sites or after a show, like for instance we saw with Ricky Skaggs.
That's right.
But otherwise, making sure they're getting their proper cut or whatever, that's a whole other discussion. And plus they're traveling like this. Look at this. Okay,
that's right.
This is what I call state-of-the-art travel there.
That's very typical. Most of our artists will come in vehicles like that.
Now, when they come into the Hartford one, is there, they go into the garage, or is there
No.
kind of a separate?
They can't fit.
No, I didn't think so.
No, they pull up on Front Street and then go over, park the bus at the convention center typically.
Okay, so
Yeah.
but I just thought that was a great shot. I know when we saw Eddie Money a few years ago, he has a bus. For all I know, that could be his bus. I don't know, but it's a beautiful shot. And of course, that I'm partial to the Norfolk venue because it just you guys did such a marvelous job with
thank
that.
you.
Really. Really appreciate you stopping by to share some stuff, and we hope to have you again down the road to talk more stuff.
We'll look forward to it.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Hang in there for a second. We thank Dan Hincks for joining us here on this episode of Studio 411, infinityhall.com for more information. Dan, of course, CEO and founder of the Infinity Music Hall and Bistros in Norfolk and Hartford, and CEO of Data Management Incorporated. All right, so look forward for more. And just as these gentlemen are saying, they are saying their farewells, as we are to you, as we've come to the end of another episode of Studio 411. Larry Dasilva, your host. We thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you again real soon. Take care.